Loss comes in many forms, and usually in unexpected ways. It can be devastating, leaving you facing an uphill struggle to go on with life without someone you thought would always be there. But life does go on, and even in the deepest despair, we can find hope. Welcome to Grief Relief with your hosts, Drs. Gloria and Heidi Horsley, brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. And now here's Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi.
Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley with my co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, we've had a special award, and I'm excited about it, and it's our studio audience and our people out in the community who've made that possible for us. And we won a Hometown Media Award for the Best Educational Series.
Well, like you said, Mom, we won a national award, and it really is, like my mother said, our guests, like the guests we're having on today, that are the reason that we won this award. We are talking today with 3 mothers and an aunt who basically transformed their lives after loss.
Absolutely, and they've just done great things, and it's really an inspiration to everybody, because we're talking about suicide today, and this is a really tough topic. A lot of stigma around it, right, Heidi?
There really is, Mom, and I know that so many families that I know that have had someone die by suicide say, you know, people don't know what to say to us, and so they don't say anything. And that's very difficult because we all need support after loss.
Absolutely, and so we're going to get some answers and some ideas and thoughts from these people today. And we're going to start out with Pamela Prime. She's a spiritual director, and her son, Sean, died by suicide many years ago, and we'll be talking about that. And she's also written a wonderful book that's going to inspire you. And then we have Shirley Kaminsky, and her son David also died by suicide, and she's with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And you're going to find out that that's going to be a great support for people that you know and for you if you had a suicide loss. And then we're going to hear from, do you want to talk about the sisters, Heidi? Because I know sisters are important to you.
Sure, they are, and it's exciting to see them both here together. Sue Ladow and Ruth Ward. Ruth's son Nathan died by suicide, and she is here today with her sister Sue, who does life quilts, and we will see some of those, and they're fabulous.
Absolutely, really neat. And we brought a few little teddy bears, and I know our guest Pamela Prime brought some of hers, where we took Scotty's clothes, and Pamela's took her son's clothes and made some little teddy bears out of them. So we'll show that and the life quilt, so that should be great. Well, let's start out with Pamela Prime, our spiritual director. Welcome to the show, Pamela.
Hi,
Thank
Pamela.
you. Lovely to be here.
So great to have you on.
Heidi.
Tell us a little bit about Sean, and how long ago did he die?
He actually died 34 years ago, a very long time. He was 16.
Wow, yeah, very sad. Well, you know, you want to give people your condolences, but also I want to say to you that you're just an inspiration, and talk about what you've learned through this experience for those folks that are out there that have had a suicide.
Well, I think that one of the things that I have learned is a great deal of compassion. And I always say compassion is a hard-won gift. But I have a great awareness for people who suffer suicide in their families. I've also, I think, learned that things that are tragic in our lives bring us to new levels of spiritual growth and really even joy. There's nothing that's happened in my life that I feel at this point in my life isn't a gift. I would never want to have had Sean die, but his death really enlightened me in many ways.
Now you've written a book, right?
I have.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because Heidi and I know a little bit about it because we had her on our radio show, right, Heidi?
Right, and I love the title.
Yeah. Yeah, tell us your title.
When the moon is dark, we can see the stars.
And now, how did you get that title?
That title came as a gift. And it seemed to be right because it said so much about the experience of being in a very dark place and coming into the light.
Yeah, it's an incredibly dark place, and we know for people it is such a dark place, Pamela. How long did it take you to even see any light? Do you know? Do you remember? I mean, it's been some time.
Well, I will tell you that just probably even 6 weeks after he died, I was driving to town. I don't even think it was 6 weeks. And I suddenly started to sing.
Wow.
And I literally stopped the car and said, this is amazing that I'm singing. But there was suddenly some awareness that life was going to be bright again. And so it slowly my life began to come together. But I cried for months, many months.
Heidi, you're wondering a little bit about the siblings? Because she had some kids, other kids besides Sean.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And what did you see with your kids, and how did you help them? It's really hard for parents, I think, because here you are grieving the loss of your child, but then you've got children, surviving children, that you have to think about how are they grieving and how can I help them?
And that's a very hard thing to do. And I'm not sure I did it as well as I would like to have done it.
Oh my gosh, I've got to stop for a minute. Heidi, how many times do I tell you that I was not a good mother after Scott died?
Well, you know, I work a lot with siblings, and I hear parents constantly say we weren't good enough parents. We weren't there enough for our parents, and I've got to tell you, the siblings that I've worked with, and it's been thousands, have always said, you know, our parents did the best that they can. They did the best that they could, given what they were going through.
We did.
Yeah.
That's really true.
We did, but you certainly don't feel like you were that good, right?
Well, I wonder how I could really have been, you know. They were crying, I was crying, and we all did the best we could. And I must say that my children, I have 3 children that are living, and they're very healthy and productive kids and are happily married. So I'm thrilled with that. And I can't take credit for it, but it brings me a lot of joy.
Now, are they close to each other?
Very close to each other.
See, I think that's interesting because Heidi and her sisters are very close, and I think when you've had this profound loss, there's something to it. I don't know. What's your thought?
Well, there's a lot of research, and we won't get that into it, but it talks about how we do, as bereaved siblings, appreciate life more and appreciate relationships more, and in many ways are more mature, and we're more able to handle adversity and to help others.
Oh, I think that's absolutely true.
Bereaved parents are the same way.
Yeah. You know, I just wanted to quickly, talk a little bit about the stigma of suicide, though. You know, Heidi and Scott was killed in an automobile accident, and what's your thought about the stigma, quickly?
Oh, I think it's there, but I think it's today. I think it's more in the minds of the parents whose child has committed suicide, because I think most people don't automatically think, well, you didn't raise a healthy son, or you weren't kind to him, or you did something wrong. I don't think that's really happening as it was in the past. But I do think that we as parents have to go through that period of time where we allow ourselves to feel the guilt and to feel the shame around having a child commit, or even a spouse commit suicide.
You know, that's interesting because you do feel ashamed too. My son was in an automobile accident, and I felt like I could have taken care of him better. Well, Pamela, I want to thank you for being on the show, and we're going to have Shirley Kaminsky come in, and please stay with us. And we'll take some questions from our fabulous studio audience, too. So Shirley Kaminsky is going to come on the show. And, of course, Heidi, you know, I always like nurses, and Shirley's a nurse.
And since you're a nurse, you guys have that in common?
Right. I was saying when I asked her to come on the show, I said, she told me she was a nurse, and I said, nurses rule. So we are going to see a rollout from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention that she is on the board of, and then we'll bring Shirley in.
Wonderful. I love the organization.
Yep. So we're getting ready for the
volunteers. It stays in the dark.
Okay.
Hidden. Secret. We can change that.
My name is Diane Gillen.
My name is Greg Gollins.
I'm Melissa DeArabian.
My name is Eddie.
I'm Tommy John.
I'm from San Diego.
I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana.
I live in Plainfield, Illinois.
I'm from Augusta, Georgia.
I'm from Long Island, New York.
Nicholas Tweed. I'm walking for my Aunt Kathleen.
I'm walking in memory of my mother.
My brother-in-law, Jeff.
My brother.
My first husband.
I lost my 18-year-old son, Ryan, 7 years ago.
I'm here walking for my sister.
For my father. I am an attempter who, when I was 18, had attempted suicide.
This year, I realized that I suffer with depression.
I was 20 when my mom died from suicide. And that was an event that shook the very foundation of my life.
We're given an opportunity to share and take what we've learned and help others.
This is one way that we keep his memory alive.
The fact that we're sharing a story, you're now part of me, and I want to be part of you.
In hundreds of cities across the country, we walk together, breaking down the barriers that have kept suicide in the dark for too long, and raising millions for research, education, outreach, and support.
We're here today because we want to make a difference.
To support the cause.
I want to spread awareness.
Put a face with a number.
You can help. With the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, you can help bring the issue of suicide out of the darkness. If you have been touched by suicide, if you struggle, or if you just want to help, you should join us. Support AFSP and the Out of the Darkness community walks.
This past Tuesday would have been my dad's 46th birthday.
Jane was a wonderful light of a person, and we miss her very much, but we're happy to be walking in her honor today.
Today we bring hope. We bring hope for ourselves if we've lost a loved one to suicide, if we've struggled personally, and we bring hope for a community that one day we will create a world without suicide.
To walk with us, donate, learn more, or even organize your own Out of the Darkness community walk, please visit our website at afsp.org.
Heidi, don't you love the internet and the fact that we're able to bring this kind of thing in and that people can go online and see that kind of thing and get the support? I am so glad Shirley's going to be with us today, and let's greet her to come on the show and talk about this wonderful organization. Hi, Shirley.
Hi.
Good to see you, Heidi. Good to see you. Well, welcome to the show, and what great work you're doing with this organization. I love it, and in memory of your son. How long has it been since your son died?
It'll be 26 years this August.
Right. I just love this, that people are staying in this and helping other people.
Absolutely. And, you know, I was talking before the show to Shirley, and I was saying it's interesting because every time I give of service or we give of service, we also help ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Shirley, you've got some kind of tips and ideas for people that they can do, right?
Well, I think first of all, in the very beginning, when you suffer a loss from suicide, I think one of the most important things is self-care. Taking good care of ourselves, nurturing ourselves, because we've really taken a major hit. And so I think self-care is really good. Even the basics, such as eating well, getting sleep, getting exercise, getting outside, some of those very basic things that we kind of forget about and let go by the wayside when we're in deep, deep grief.
And drinking water, as simple as that.
Yeah. Plenty of fluids, absolutely, absolutely. So I think that's one of the first things, and we could go into great detail about that. The second thing that I have found very helpful is joining the community. There's a huge community of us who are survivors, and none of us chose to be in this club. However, we are, and I think that when we can connect with other people who've had similar losses, we can gain support from that. As Heidi mentioned earlier, oftentimes when we've suffered a loss from suicide, people don't want to talk to us because they don't know what to say. And I think there still is a great amount of stigma around the word suicide and around a suicide death. It's better than it was 26 years ago, but we still have a long way to go.
You know, that's why TV is so great in your walks and that kind of thing. And well, I think you got one more point, and then let's talk about your walk.
And the third point is becoming involved. Becoming involved in giving back, as Pamela has done, and there's a lot of ways that we can do that. And the way that has been so meaningful for me over the years is being a part of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So,
and we've had Bob Gebbia, who's head of it, I believe.
He's the executive director.
Yeah, he's been on our radio show. And Bob is a great guy. And, well, you know, I'll have to say, Heidi, through the years we have met so many fabulous people who, through loss and recovery, have done such great things. It's a real inspiration to meet people like you. Talk a little bit about the foundation, how people can find it, and talk about the walks, and how can I get involved, and when do I know I'm ready to, and who do I call, and, you know, I'm in so much pain, do I wait until I'm not in pain, you know, are there sibling things, you know, there are just so many.
Well, the readiness, I think, is a very individual thing, and I'm a big proponent of people having therapy and individual counseling. I needed that myself for long over a year after my son died, and And I think, again, it's an individual thing, but our general recommendation from the foundation is that people don't get really actively involved in some of our programs until they're about 2 years past their loss. Now, that having been said, people can participate in the community walks as soon as they feel they're ready. Yeah. We have the community walks, which you saw the video about.
And I love the name, Out of Darkness.
Out of the darkness,
bringing
into the
that
light.
in, yeah, really
and
nice.
That started with a signature overnight walk where we walked all night long in 2002 in Washington, D.C., and that was the first overnight. I participated in that walk with my daughter, and that's how I found out about AFSP, and I've been involved with them ever since. I'm one of the founding members of the San Francisco chapter of AFSP, and we've been doing community walks, which are smaller walks. The Out of the Darkness overnight is 18 to 20 miles, and that's a long walk to do. Yeah. And the walks are not only fundraisers, which is very important to keep our foundation viable and do the work that we do, but I feel it's a huge community builder. It's a way of people who suffered a similar loss to be involved, to connect with other people who understand. I've met some wonderful, wonderful people through my work with AFSP.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, as Heidi said, we do not grieve alone. You were talking about Viktor Frankl's very famous book on logotherapy and after World War II. Even way back, he said that we don't grieve alone. We need to grieve in community.
It's a collective experience.
Yes.
And I love these walks. They're so powerful. I live in New York City. And, you know, not only, and I've seen them, and it also builds awareness to so many people, and they're just so powerful and so emotionally charged to see all these people together, you know, walking and building awareness, and walking is a tribute to someone that they've loved and lost.
I was thinking, too, I mean, it gives the opportunity for the whole community to be involved, friends, neighbors. It just doesn't have to be somebody who's had a suicide death. Well, Heidi, why don't we go out into the audience and take some questions?
Okay. Okay, hello, and your name?
Dave Kirkpatrick. And we've heard really touching stories about the loss of a son or a brother. Are males more likely to take their own life than females?
Yes, they are. Statistically, it shows that more males do take their lives than females, and more females attempt to take their lives. However, there's more and more females that are using more lethal means now, and so that number is rising with females.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gloria Cevallos. Will asking someone if they're considering suicide plant that idea in their mind?
Well, Pamela, why don't you take that one? That's an interesting question.
No, I don't think it'll plant it in their mind, but if they are considering suicide, it will bring it to the surface, and then you can work with them around that. You wouldn't ask that question unless you had a sense of their incredible pain. So I think for me, it would be an important question to ask.
Shirley, do you have a comment on that?
I agree with Pamela. It's definitely a myth. And it's important that if we do sense that someone is in distress, that we do question them. We ask them if they're thinking of suicide. We ask them if they have a plan in place. And it's very important. That way we can help them. It's often a relief to the individual that we do ask direct questions.
Great. Well, listen, I want to thank you both so much for being on the show today and for bringing us out of darkness and shining some light in our little corner. And thank you for everything you've been doing. And Heidi, why don't we go and take a look at the Memory Quilt? And I know that with Sue and Ruth, and we've got some little teddy bears, and you recognize them. We'll talk about those a little bit, too. And thank you, ladies. All right. So, Heidi, do you recognize anything over here?
Yes, I love it. I love those bears.
We've got some bears of Scott. Scotty here, my son, somebody made it out of a jacket of his. And yeah, you can show that, out of a sports jacket. The interesting thing is, it's been many years since Scott died, and we just did it a few years ago, and I know Pamela Prime brought some of her little teddy bears, and it's been years for her, too. So if you've got some clothes out there and it's been years and years that somebody died in your family, you can go online and find some people who do some of these crafts.
Well, that's why I love it, because a lot of times you have a lot of clothes, you have no idea what to do with them, and to make bears is an amazing thing. You can give them to friends, etc., out of your loved one's clothes.
Absolutely. So let's talk about these memory quilts.
Okay.
You want to introduce the ladies, Heidi?
Okay, we've got Ruth Ward and her sister, Sue Ladow. And I love that they're sisters here. And Ruth's son, Nathan, died by suicide.
And there he is right there. Darling, right in the center.
And they're extremely close, these sisters. And Ruth has said that one of the main things that has helped in her healing process is her sister. So this is absolutely
Now tell us
gorgeous.
about the quilts and how you started doing it.
Well, actually, this is the only one I've done. This is for the San Francisco chapter.
Oh, wow.
It's such a great idea. Where did you get the idea for the pattern?
Thought that it would, this way, usually if there's a quilt, you need to have a picture before you can complete it. So this way, it all comes apart, it stacks, it travels well, and it can still be hung without, you know, being completed, really. So
And you can
just
take their pictures and...
Yeah, I send or I give to people that are at the walks the packet, you know, which we ask for their survivor data. But what I do is I make the frame, so to speak, and then with this they put the picture on, or anything they want to, any information they want to about their loved one, and then I sew it on to one of these.
Really
squares.
fantastic. And I wanted to ask you, as a sister and losing a nephew, what your thoughts are about how family members can support other family members when they've had a loss.
Yeah, it's a necessity. I can't imagine anybody going through that alone.
Yeah, it's so great. Yeah. And doing crafts and things, you know, seem to be, you know, being able to build something or help. I notice you're online, aren't you?
Yes, there is a national website now, and I've just recently gotten the first request for a packet, which I sent out.
How great.
And I've also I've seen life quilts like this where the whole quilt would have been about Nathan. I'm sure you know this. And, you know, there might be pieces, you know, of his clothing here, and I love the fact there's a guitar there. I mean, and every single thing symbolizes that person.
Exactly.
I worked with 9/11 families for 10 years, and they had amazing life quilts that were sent to them from all over the country. It's incredible.
Yeah, I feel honored to be able to do that.
Yeah, a great way to pay tribute to Nathan.
Yeah, it is wonderful. And what if I wanted to have you, if I have a chapter, Heidi and I are very involved with the Compassionate Friends, and I was wondering if you had any ideas about if I wanted to do something for the Compassionate Friends, can they get in touch with you? And have you help them do it?
I'm not sure about that.
Nothing like putting Sue on the spot here.
I could give them some ideas if they have questions, you know, about it for sure.
That would be a great thing. So, Heidi, have you got any thoughts about family members and support?
Oh, about family members and support. Well, I think just showing up is the best thing that you can do. And that is what Sue has done with Ruth. She's shown up, and she hasn't run the other way. And she's been there for her.
Yep. I think that's really great. And I want to thank you guys for coming in today and for showing this Memory Quilt and for what you've done. And, you know, it's just, as we say, it's all about community, all about being together, and all about dealing with our losses together, because that's the way we learn and grow and become more compassionate. And I love what Pamela said about how we can be more involved with each other. And we hope that you will tell everybody about our show, the Grief Relief Show, and let people know about it, because we want to get the word out. It's important to get the word out, isn't it, Heidi?
Absolutely. And if you've had a suicide or know somebody that has, please go up and just tell them you're sorry and acknowledge it.
Yes, because acknowledging loss is very important, and we want to thank our audience today, and we want to thank everyone for being on the show today. We hope that you will support the people that you're involved with. And Heidi and I wanted to tell you also that we will be keynote speakers at the Compassionate Friends National Conference in Boston this year, and we hope that you will join us. It's over July 4th weekend. There are going to be a lot of workshops, Heidi, and there'll be workshops with people who've had suicide losses, right?
Absolutely. There'll be workshops on everything. And two of the workshops I do, which I love, is I will go in and work with siblings, and I walk into the workshop and I say to these kids, these siblings, of all ages, I say, what is it you want your parents to know? And we spend 2 hours talking about that. And then I go into a parent workshop right after that. And I say, parents, this is what your kids want you to know. And those are very powerful workshops.
And I'll be doing a workshop on long-term loss. And this is important because we have found that there are people who have not resolved their loss after many years. And people really need to think about this traumatic loss. If you have gone for maybe 6 or 7 years and you're still feeling anger or depression or resentment, it may be time to take a look at that. And our friend Catherine Shear at Columbia University has done some research on that, and we'll be presenting some of her research. You'll be able to go on our website and take a look at some of the research that tells you about traumatic loss.
And we'll also be keynoting at Bereaved Parents right here in Sacramento, California this summer. And that is all going to be about hope and healing. And so anyone out there that just feels like they're alone, please lean on our hope till you found your own and attend one of these conferences.
And we believe that. That's why we call ourselves Open to Hope, because we believe that you need to keep yourself open to the idea that there could be hope again, because we know for those folks who have had a loss to suicide that it feels like a very hopeless situation to you right now. But as all these wonderful people on the show have shown you today, there is hope after loss. And thank you for watching our show today. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley.
And I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. Thank you.
This has been Grief Relief, hosted by the mother-daughter team of Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi Horsley. This show's been brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. Be sure to visit Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi at opentohope.com, where you can listen to radio programs, watch past episodes of Grief Relief, read articles, and view books. You can also join them on Twitter and Facebook and put your events on their international calendar. Thanks for watching, and remember, others have been there and made it, and you can too.